Welcome to Washington America Show with international multimedia journalist, multidimensional, multifaceted artist and director of Human Rights Justice Council USA, Dr. Kashif Sohail.
The election of the President and the Vice President of the United States is an indirect election in which the citizens of the United States who are registered to vote in one of the 50 U.S. states or in Washington, D.C., cast ballots not directly for those offices, but instead for members of the Electoral College. These electors then cast direct votes, known as electoral votes, for President, and for Vice President. The candidate who receives an absolute majority of electoral votes, at least 270 out of 538, is then elected to that office. 23rd Amendment granted voting rights to citizens of D.C. If no candidate receives an absolute majority of the votes for president, the House of Representatives chooses the most qualifying candidate for the presidency. If no one receives an absolute majority of the votes for vice president, then the Senate elects the vice president.
The Electoral College and its procedure are established in the U.S. Constitution. Each state casts as many electoral votes as the total number of its senators and representatives in Congress, while Washington, D.C., casts the same number of electoral votes as the least represented state, which is 3. Also, the manner for choosing electors is determined by each state legislature, not directly by the federal government.
Many state legislatures previously selected their electors directly, but over time all switched to using the popular vote to choose electors. Once chosen, electors generally cast their electoral votes for the candidate who won the plurality in their state, but 18 states do not have provisions that specifically address this behavior. Those who vote in opposition to the plurality are known as faithless or unpledged electors.
The results can generally be determined based on the state-by-state popular vote. In addition, most of the time, the winner of the U.S. presidential election also wins a national popular vote. Presidential elections occur quadrennially with registered voters casting their ballots on Election Day, which since 1845 has been the first Tuesday after November 1st. This date coincides with the general elections of various other federal, state, and local races. Since local governments are responsible for managing elections, these races typically all appear on one ballot.
These primary elections are generally held between January and June before the general election in November, while the nominating conventions are held in the summer. Though not codified by law, political parties also follow an indirect election process, where voters in the 50 states, Washington, D.C., and U.S. territories, cast ballots for a slate of delegates to a political party's nominating convention, who then elect their party's presidential nominee. Each party may then choose a vice presidential running mate to join the ticket, which is either determined by choice of the nominee or by the second round of voting.
Because of changes to national campaign finance laws since the 1970s regarding the disclosure of contributions for federal campaigns, presidential candidates from the major political parties usually declare their intentions to run as early as the spring of the previous calendar year before the election, almost 21 months before Inauguration Day. Article 2 of the Constitution originally established the method of presidential elections, including the Electoral College. This was a result of a compromise between those constitutional framers who wanted the Congress to choose the president, and those who preferred a national popular vote.
Each state is allocated a number of electors equal to the size of its delegation in both houses of Congress combined. With the ratification of the 23rd Amendment in 1961, the District of Columbia is also granted a number of electors, equal to the number of those held by the least populous state. However, U.S. territories are not represented in the Electoral College. Constitutionally, the manner for choosing electors is determined within each state by its legislature. Each state shall appoint electors in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct.
The popular vote determines the winner of a presidential election by determining the electoral vote, as each state or district's popular vote determines its Electoral College vote. Although the nationwide popular vote does not directly determine the winner of a presidential election, it does strongly correlate with who is a victor. The winners of the nationwide popular vote and the Electoral College vote differ only in close elections. In highly competitive elections, candidates focus on turning out their vote in the contested swing states critical to winning an Electoral College majority.
Candidates can fail to get the most votes in the nationwide popular vote in a presidential election and still win. The House must choose the president out of the top 3 people in the election. Numerous constitutional amendments have been submitted seeking to replace the Electoral College with a direct popular vote, but none has ever successfully passed both houses of Congress. Another alternate proposal is the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, an interstate compact whereby individual participating states agree to allocate their electors based on the winner of the national popular vote instead of just their respective statewide results.
Candidates can fail to get the most votes in the nationwide popular vote in a presidential election and still win. The House must choose the president out of the top 3 people in the election. Numerous constitutional amendments have been submitted seeking to replace the Electoral College with a direct popular vote, but none has ever successfully passed both houses of Congress. Another alternate proposal is the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, an interstate compact whereby individual participating states agree to allocate their electors based on the winner of the national popular vote instead of just their respective statewide results.
The presidential election day was established on a Tuesday in November because of the factors involved: weather, harvests, and worship. When voters used to travel to the polls by horse, Tuesday was an ideal day because it allowed people to worship on Sunday, ride to their county seat on Monday, and vote on Tuesday, all before market day, Wednesday. November also fits nicely between harvest time and harsh winter weather, which could be especially bad for people traveling by horse and buggy.
Article 2 of the Constitution stipulates that for a person to serve as president, the individual must be a natural-born citizen of the United States, at least 35 years old, and a resident of the United States for a period of no less than 14 years. A candidate may start running his or her campaign early before turning 35 years old or completing 14 years of residency, but must meet the age and residency requirements by Inauguration Day. The 22nd Amendment to the Constitution also sets a term limit: a president cannot be elected to more than 2 terms.
The U.S. presidential election process, like all other elections in the United States, is a highly decentralized system. While the U.S. Constitution does set parameters for the election of the president and other federal officials, state law, not federal, regulates most aspects of elections in the U.S., including the primaries, the eligibility of voters, beyond the basic constitutional definition, and the specific details of running each state's electoral college meeting. All elections, including federal, are administered by the individual states.
The presidential election is really an amalgamation of separate state elections instead of a single national election run by the federal government. Candidates must submit separate filings in each of the 50 states if they want to qualify on each state's ballot, and the requirements for filing vary by state. The eligibility of an individual for voting is set out in the Constitution and regulated at the state level. The 15th, 19th, and 26th Amendments to the Constitution state that suffrage cannot be denied on grounds of race or color, sex, or age for citizens 18 years or older, respectively.
Beyond these basic qualifications, it is the responsibility of state legislatures to regulate voter eligibility and registration. And the specific requirements for voter eligibility and registration also vary by state. For example, some states ban convicted felons from voting.
Please share this video, subscribe to our channel.